1580.
So pleased to announce that the 43rd mayor of the city of Los Angeles is on the phone. Mayor Karen Bass, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Dominique?
Good. You must be incredibly swamped right now, and I appreciate you checking in. It's indefinitely what we're hearing, that the 10 freeway to be down?
Yes, that is the case. All of those travel apps, pay attention to those. As we get information, they've been uploaded right away. So those maps should be accurate. But we actually are trying to tell people to stay on freeways, to follow the route, because our streets can't handle 300,000.
Yeah.
Our streets would be parking lots. There is metro, there is public transportation. So they're increasing the frequency of trains and increasing the frequency of buses. So you can go to 511 and learn about metro. You can go to emergency.lacity.gov to learn about any information on the city. This is a time for all of us to stay together. We're trying every avenue possible. That's why it's so important that you reached out, Dominique. Always want to make sure that the KBLA audience is up to speed.
Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much. Godspeed.
All right, thank you.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
You know everybody been waiting on that baby, man. I mean, it like ever since baby on baby drop, man. Ever since baby on baby drop. Ain't nobody drop shit. Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it. Let's go. I flew past the whip with that blunt in my mouth, watched it swerving. That whip had a cop in it. My bitch got good, fly her across the country. I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli, I did it legitly. I'm still with the shit, I'm a hot. Oh, you asking for pictures with nigga? What's your name? Get the fuck out the spot, nigga. Tryna figure which deal I'ma take. I woke up, couple meal on my plate. Let's eat. I'm investing in real estate. I just went and gave my mama 100. Probably won't hear me open my mouth, unless you hear me talking about finding some money. Let's go. As soon as I found that, I flipped that. I'm a little bit different, they get it. No, I'm stiff on the bitch, she dig. Tryna find out why baby ain't all in the mentions. No, she ain't get no DM from me. This wrist, it ain't free. She be throwing that, yeah, she good at it. Turn around when we make her look at it. She like, ha. I needed some with some bop in it.
You are locked in to hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, VIPs, for checking in for the final hour, the after hour. Listen, tonight has been a lot of information, a lot of stories, a lot of details. And, you know, that's what we do. We try, and if we're going to give you the story, if we're going to talk about it, it's not just about the top line, the salacious part. We're going to get into the complexities of it, because that's what a lot of these things are. So before we get into the baby and his $200 million loss that he said was all God's plan, ultimately, you know, Tristan Thompson, we have been hearing about his cheating escapades for years and years. And this season on The Kardashians, Tristan has headed off, well, he's dealt with the fallout from those years of cheating head on. And he's started to open up about those feelings. He has dealt with the family and him being triggering to them and their commentary about that. And in a most recent episode, he also went on to explain why, at least in his viewpoint, he repeatedly cheated on Khloe. Spoiler alert, he said that it had to do with his past childhood trauma. So let's get into what he had to say.
I feel disgusted the next day.
But then, so then why do you do it again?
I was just literally just cheating just for an action, like just cheating just for a feeling. But also it really came down to not really knowing how to love, because that's the way I grew up. I think with therapy, I realized that my childhood upbringing, what I saw from like my dad, how he would treat my mom.
Yeah.
As a kid, when you see that, the trauma you have is because you can't protect your mom because you're so young, and because your mom tells it's gonna be okay, you basically numb your emotions of being scared or feeling sad. It's my form of a defense mechanism.
Do you think your mom was like just always happy because she like numbed certain things?
Yes, and I think she did that more for us as kids so we wouldn't have it bother us. You know what I'm saying? So I never understood how to feel pain or how to feel someone's emotions, because the most important person in my life, even though they're being treated terribly, never like allowed me
was
to
like happy.
Always happy.
So listen, you don't want to invalidate anyone's experience, although I do sometimes. But I mean, honestly, one, I want to say, even when I drop these jokes, and I mean that overall, realistically, if that is really the case and that is where he learned cheating and how to associate the feelings and so forth, I'm glad he recognized it and that he is working on it. And, hopefully it's not something that will continue to dot his relationships and that he hasn't inflicted that damage onto his three young sons, right? He has 3 sons at this point. But part of this too, I'm like, BS. Some of that, like, listen, I know that trauma unfolds in different ways, but some of that, dog, you were not sitting in trauma when you were sitting in some of those clubs with these random chicks in your lap repeatedly. That wasn't it. I don't believe. Again, yes, tell me, we already know. I cannot speak for him. I am not in the situation. Things, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff. However, there are some things where it's like, what made you realize that now, Tristan? Now that you don't have an NBA career where people are pursuing you maybe in the same way, where the clamor is not there to be associated with you at in the same form or fashion that it was a few years back when your teammate was LeBron James, when you were one of the early Rich Paul agent signings and things of that nature. Could that maybe be part of, the change? One of the things that he did do in this episode, and we're going to play this clip, is that he admitted that what he did to Jordan Woods, that it was, his fault. And that is long overdue. We know all of the things that went on publicly on social media, on the show regarding Jordan, who was a young girl and Kylie's best friend at the time. I shouldn't say girl, a young woman. And, listen, if I'm being completely honest, I had some questions for her too in the situation, but I am glad that he owned up to. I will tell you why. Andy's looking confused as to why I said that, but we'll get into that at another time. When we come forward, we will get into Tristan standing up and finally, at least publicly, giving Jordan Woods the apology, somewhat, that she has deserved. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
November is National Runaway Prevention and Homeless Youth Awareness Month, and the Sanctuary of Hope is shining a light on the situations that cause youth to run away or face a housing crisis. In LA County, nearly 3,000 youth are homeless on the streets each night. All month long, the Sanctuary of Hope will lead activities throughout LA County to inform and mobilize calls for action, and you can help. For more info, go to www.thesoh.org. That's www.thesoh.org.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So listen, we're not going to play the clip because you get the idea, right? But I do have something Kardashian related that I want to share with you before we get into the baby and what's going on with him. So recently, Caitlyn Jenner recalled having a conversation with Robert Kardashian. You know, that is Kim, Kourtney, Khloe, and Rob's dad. While he was divorcing Kris Jenner, they went to a private dinner, and Caitlyn said she told Robert at the time, she was Bruce, she's moving on and I can take it over from here, right? It's no secret that Kris Jenner basically was cheating, and that is what led to the downfall of her relationship with Robert Kardashian, who was a lawyer, the girl's father. We know all of that, yada, yada, yada. But you know, in a recent interview, Caitlyn shared what was going on with Bruce and Kris at the time. She said that it was Bruce that actually gave Robert the pen to sign the divorce papers. No, I'm just kidding. But that he really helped to force his hand a bit. She said that, not really trying to mess that up, just talking about Bruce in the past tense and Caitlyn in the present tense might get a little tricky in the moments, but it's not disrespectfully. It's just trying to keep things the way that they should be for the time frame that they were utilized in. Just want to be clear with that, okay? So she said that she was having a rough time with Robert in the divorce, and when Bruce came into the picture, that this is from a new documentary that is airing on Peacock that is called House of Kardashian, that he was doing everything to kind of, make Kris's life miserable, and that Bruce saw what was going on from the outside and was like, this is ridiculous. So Bruce called Robert up and was like, let's go to dinner. And that they met at Hamburger Hamlet on Sunset. And if you don't know, this is a very famous, Hollywood, or it used to be, especially at that time period, where celebrities would go and, hang out, and it's kind of exclusive at the time to get into, whatever. So it wasn't like they were trying to go incognito or anything. It's on Sunset. They got a booth in the back, and he said that Caitlyn said that Bruce basically said, look, Kris is moving on. I'm sorry, but she's moving on, and I got this from here. So let's just make this a final signing of the papers and make it as simple as possible. And Caitlyn said that he did. And 1 month after the divorce was finalized, Bruce and Kris married at a friend's house in Bel Air after dating for only 5 months. So, Chris was the original. She got him in, got him out, kept it popping. It was a different time. Different time. So, it's Thursday. We always talk about what to watch. So, if you have Peacock, make sure you check into House of Kardashian. We're also going to get into shortly, this is coming up at the bottom of the hour, there's a new Hulu series called Drive, which features Swizz Beatz. And it's all about car culture. And Swizz is traveling around the country and around the world, introducing the viewer to what each city uniquely brings to the car culture conversation in different clubs. So things that you may know, things that are surprising. So we talked to Swizz and his son about that. We'll get into that at the bottom of the hour. And as I mentioned, an interview with the two co-directors of Maxine's Baby, which is a documentary on Tyler Perry and his mom and his growing up and ascent to business, opening the studios, etc. That is on Amazon Studios, so you can check that out there. Okay, so let's get to the baby. Now, we know there was a period of time a couple years ago, like I think pre-pandemic, where the baby was everywhere. He was hot fire. He had that sort of, where is he from? Is he from North Carolina or South Carolina? North Carolina, right? He had that North Carolina swag going. Some people may have felt that his rhymes were a little simplistic, but they seemed to capture people. They were a lot of fun, little bravado in them. The visuals were good. People were like, the baby is on his way up, right? But then he got in his own way. Not only did he get in his own way, he doubled down on getting in his own way. We know there was a series of high-profile mishaps, things that were spoken that should not have been, homophobic rants on stage. There were, things having to do with Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez's behavior that was not becoming of someone who was on the cusp of becoming one of hip-hop's, he was stepping into the, at least temporarily, upper echelon. And when I say upper echelon, I'm not talking about your Jay-Z, your Drakes. I'm talking about, people that are looked forward to, those A performers. Again, you got to clarify everything with you guys, because people will be calling in and accusing me of saying the baby was on the same level as Drake and Jay-Z. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about his popularity level at the time. So, he was recently on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp, Unc, and he was discussing everything that he has lost since he made those comments at Rolling Loud. Can you believe it was only 2 years ago? Seems like much, much longer, right? Boy, those tables turn quickly. They can be snatched from you. A lot of people need to be thinking about that right now with all the stories that have been coming out. But anyway, what he does say is that although, it's a hard moment, he lost a great deal of money, it has caused him to grow as a man. So let's check out what he had to say. Oh, I didn't send you the clip? That is my bad. I thought I sent the clip. Look at that. Not on point, Jill. It's one of those nights. I apologize. So, I can't send it to him right now because you know why? It probably has profanity in it, and we don't want to get into that. But essentially, he talked about a lot of the mistakes he made. The situation with Danny Lay, who he ended up in a relationship with. We know she was an up-and-coming singer. They ended up having a child. There were some things. Once again, I don't know why you guys take your problems to social media. Not just take them to social media, but get on live or Insta stories. You can't get that back, even if it's in close friends. Like, I don't feel like at this point in time, as long as we have been living with Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, I don't feel like you're not unaware. Maybe angry, maybe not caring in the moment, but you are not unaware. So what I will say is, though I obviously have empathy for a wide range of people in a wide range of situations, I'm going to tell you that I think you guys are dumb when you continue to double down and put these things on social media. I mean, attention is a drug. It's hardcore, right? So anyway, the baby said that he lost $200 million because of the comments and deals and things that he had lined up and shows and performances and whatever. But that he has reformed and he is ready to, resurge and step back into his career and admit that, he made some mistakes, focus was off, but that he wants to try and give it a go again. What I want to know is, do you think, and actually I'm just basically asking myself because I forgot we're having technical difficulties tonight. Is there forgiveness for an artist like DaBaby, someone that we were just introduced to relatively quickly? He had some entertaining bops. We, enjoyed it a little bit, but ultimately he wasn't embedded in our hearts, souls, and minds. Are we looking for DaBaby to make a comeback? Do we care? I mean, I'm sure there's some hardcore DaBaby fans out there in the world somewhere. Has to be, right? But are they going to hold him down and stick through it as he tries to make this climb and a comeback? And is he deserving of it? Like, do you feel his comments? Because this is the thing. And in no way, shape, or form am I justifying his comments or anything like that. But I do remember back in the day, people would get on stage and say stuff like, all the ugly people be quiet. And they would also say what he said, as something to hype the crowd up and get the people going. But we're in a very different time now, And again, the things that are acceptable, the things that are in line with the culture, that can turn on a dime, especially now because we're in a whole different era. I do wonder, though, if there are people that will forgive him, if there are people that can recognize, and I'm not advocating for or against it, I'm simply discussing the topic. Because, you got to be clear. Because people halfway listen and they will take you and say, you're being supportive. I'm not. It's not that deep to me with him. But I do wonder, as we go through these things with cancel culture and as we are evolving in more and more stories, more and more scandal, I mean, here's one thing. I bet you Keke Palmer and her mom are like, ooh, thanks, Cassie. Ironically enough, right? And I guess it's okay to mention this, that there used to be, I think, was it a video with Keke Palmer and Cassie from back in the day? I think maybe it was 2016 or something like that. Was the song called I Don't Belong to You? I think that was the name of it. And in the video, Keke Palmer and Cassie share a kiss. And, what were we 8 years later? We are talking about very serious stories involving both of them, who are now both mothers and have moved on. It's just a lot. Hollywood can be a trip. I also wonder, does this, for the audience, for people, we would hear of things back in the day, but again, there were more whispers. There were things like when Tina Turner came out with her book, I, Tina, that was so salacious. And of course, many people heard about it, but it wasn't like today where you are besieged by it from all sides. And I wonder if, and obviously two sides of the spectrum, I wonder what the impact is going to be with Diddy, with all of this going on. We know he also is in the middle of his own lawsuit against the distributors of his liquor brand, where he also made allegations of racism. And, he has been big on bigging up the culture as of late, lots of donations. Some felt he was making those moves to make sure that the culture would feel that he is supportive and behind, him when perhaps something like this came down. I don't know. Andy?
That's why he's on his love trip right now.
You think that's why he wanted to bring back R&B and was like, we need more love in the music and all of that?
I think so. Like if you look at it from a spiritual level, I just think that he probably felt like, what? All of the stuff that he did in the past is is coming to haunt him. So let me switch up everything. Let me exude positivity and love, so that can come back his way, because it's a lot of evil kind of surrounding him.
I mean, a lot of things. Fans are also wondering about Carisha and what she's going to do, what she's going to say. Again, innocent until proven guilty. That is what we are all allegedly assured of in this country, right? And we do know that tricky things can happen on both sides with the law and things of that nature. We can only hope for the truth and healing for everyone involved. But you do wonder what type of move Carisha is going to make, We go together real bad. She shared how she likes warm pee on her sometimes, which seems to fit in, once again, with some of the things that Cassie alluded to in this particular filing. I don't know for certain. Like I said, we've all heard the rumors, but we're just going to have to wait and see what comes of it. So listen, thank you for rocking with us on YouTube, right? If you haven't, this is a perfect time to download the KBLA app, because when we come forward after the break, the remainder of the show will be off of YouTube, and what it will feature is, like I said, Swizz Beats talking about the new show Drive. He shared with me what he learned from the experience. He also talked about his favorite city to visit during this, because they went to Houston, LA, Atlanta, New York, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. So there's different elements from all in there. Of course, there's celebrity guests involved, and you're just getting to see a different side of things. And the interview with the two co-directors of Maxine's Baby. That's really good. If you have not checked out Maxine's Baby, the Tyler Perry documentary, I would implore you that you should do that. You see a different side of the story with him. If you have ever been one to question the quality of Tyler Perry's projects and things like that, there's something in there for you. He features the critics that have talked about him over the years and their arguments, and he addresses that. He also talks about being very intentional about speaking to his audience, the audience that he knows and loves so well, that had a Medea and grew up with all of that. So they get into a little bit of the process. It took them 10 years. They were following him to work through this, through the announcement of the studios and all of that. So great interviews. Check in. Remember that Thursday is my Friday VIP, so thank you for rocking with us. Make sure that you are locked in every night, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to midnight, to get all the entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture, trending topics, and headlines. Thank you for checking us out. And on the other side, those interviews.
They told me to come work on my album. I'm trying to go find out the price on the boat. Okay. My little like Megan Thee Stallion, she ghetto and nasty, she driving the boat. All this that they making be born. Let me something to buy while I ride with the pole. Here you go. Okay. I needed some with some bop in it. I flew past the whip with that blunt in my mouth, watched it swerving. That whip had a cop in it. My bitch got good fly her across the country. I finished the show.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come.